I'm back with David Weber today. I am going to be asking him some questions that my Aunt Sharon was kind enough to ask Facebook for. And we'll just see how he answers these, I guess.
Such latitude.
The first question is from Drew A. And he asks, do you have a committed writing schedule with certain daily goals? And if so, what tricks do you have to meet these goals?
Well, when I'm in the final stages of my committed writing schedule is what a friend of mine used to say, from can see to can't see. Okay, you get up at dawn, you keep going until you can't. By and large, and especially since last fall, when some health issues came along, I promised Sharon that I would try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. 6.5 seems to be pretty much my normal standard sleeping mode, but I'm working on it. But that means that unless I'm really, really in a deadline crunch, I'm not going to be pulling any all-nighters. I usually I get up, go out to the office 9-ish, work through, maybe take an hour's break for lunch, and then work through, go back to work until 5:30 or 6 when I come in to cook supper, because I like to cook. Sharon says she's a good cook, it's just nobody likes boiled water. I try to get a minimum of 5,000 to 6,000 words a day. That's sort of my minimum goal. Some days it'll be more than that, some days it'll be less than that. It'll be a lot less than that on days when I'm trying to figure out the geometry for a battle in the envelope. Because when you've got chips moving on widely separated vectors and everything else, what you really have to do is determine the end position that you want, and then work backward to starting positions that would get them to there. And then you have to figure out a spine for the action from a storytelling, a narrative perspective, that would explain why they were where they had to be to get to that point. I spent 3 weeks one time figuring out how to do about 3,000 words for space battle, because it's important to me that ships can be where I said they were in the course of their movement. That's rare, but I usually have at least 1 or 2 of those on a herring model where I have to stop and do that. It would have been a whole lot simpler if I had, but not better, just simpler, if I had gone with something like in the Starfire universe, where in essence you can go from 0 to 10% of light speed like that, but you can never go faster than 10% of light speed. So ships don't really have to worry about acceleration periods and deceleration periods, and they can make 360-degree turns, because the instant that you turn off your inertia canceling field that you're using, so you don't turn about an inch over pace going to 10% of light speed in 5 seconds, the ship stops moving. Then you can reorient and go wherever you want to go. Really cool. It makes for very easy to ride battles, but you kind of got to wonder, like, okay, fine.
So your schedule for writing, though, is mainly during the day?
It is now.
Okay, I was going to say, because I thought
traditionally I would go to work after supper and work all night. We think that was a factor in the sleep that I wasn't getting. And it was also imposed in part because I was the one who took the kids to school in the morning. So I would work through, take them to school, and then go to bed. And then Sharon would be the one who would go and pick them up and do all the soccer stuff in the evening. So I would, in theory, go out to work about 9 p.m. work through till about 7, take the kids to school, and then in theory, be in bed by 9 or whatever, and sleep. The problem is that the rest of the world works on a, look, the sun is in the sky schedule. So anytime that there was a doctor's appointment or anything else, it was right in the middle of that. 2 o'clock in the morning is still my most productive time. Mm-hmm. Definitely. There are no interruptions. It's very quiet. Nobody's going to call you on the phone. Nobody's going to text you. So you can work without disturbance. And that's the critical thing for me. Mm-hmm. I need blocks of time where I'm not pulled out of the story. If somebody texts me while I'm working and I respond to the text, I lose 20 minutes easy before I can get back into what I'm doing, mm-hmm. which is why the middle of the night works best. And it's hard for people, even Sharon, to remember that if they pull me out, it takes me that long to get back in. But it does. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the upside of that is that every time that I'm pulled out, I get back in by going through everything I've already done that day, which gives me another editing lick at it that it might not have had otherwise.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Well, I start every writing session by editing what I did in the last 2 writing sessions. So everything that I do before I get to the final edit has been edited at least twice before. And
that also, I guess, refamiliarizes you with.
And it gets me back up to speed. It gets me back to the point. Now, another thing that some people do, and I tried this, is you stop in the middle of the chapter. Because then you come back and you have to pick up. The reason that I don't do that is that I don't have to stop at the end of the chapter to pick the action back up. I do that by going back and editing the last 2 days' work. And it gives me better control of the final manuscript, the quality levels, I guess you would say. I think sometimes readers lose track of, or don't understand because they're not also writers, that there's writing and there's storytelling. The two are not necessarily identical. Writing is a craft, and you acquire it the way that you acquire any skill, by doing it. Okay. Storytelling is also a craft because if you tell a lot of stories, you get better at telling stories. But I believe that you can learn to write. You cannot learn to be a storyteller. But the final product that turns up on the printed page for the reader has to combine both of those. Mm-hmm. Okay? And the amount of time that a good writer puts into going back and saying, I've used that word too many times, let me pick another one. Okay? Or finding ways to take out adverbs ending in ly. Okay? Instead of, he came quickly to his feet, he snapped erect, or something like that. That's something that, if you're honest with yourself and with your responsibility to your readers, it's something you should always be watching for. And I discovered last fall that when you get sufficiently exhausted, you can't do that the way you're supposed to do it. Not every writer has little tics that probably get really irritating to his readers over time. Mm-hmm. And I've identified at least a dozen of those in my own writing over the years and stopped doing it. Okay. And I'm sure that there are others that I haven't picked up on yet. The other problem that you've got as a production writer like I am is for the last, I sold the first one in '89. So for the last, going on 30 years, I've cranked out somewhere around 750,000 words a year. Okay, when you write that much, that many stories, that many chapters, there are going to be metaphors that you use, constructions that you use that repeat. Okay, they have to. That's how textual analysis identifies the author of one of the epistles, for God's sake. Okay, they analyze the word use. They say, oh, this was Paul. This was, So the time that I can spend concentrating without interruption is really, really invaluable from both the storytelling and the editing perspective. But I can edit when I'm not in circumstances that will let me tell the story. You see, I call it the difference between writing and editing.
Yes.
But what it really is the difference between telling the story and just writing it down.